between the pair of them really significantly lies is Alvarez's possession profile. So he sits well above most, particularly here in Spain, for passes per 90 minutes, for accurate passes, for his pressing stats, for his progressive and dangerous passes. Now, the comparison is very stark. 30 passes per game for Alvarez. For Gyökeres, it's 11. So that's 3 times as many. And his shooting accuracy percentage is high 40s rather than Gyökeres' high 30s. So I think he's probably slightly better in front of goal. He outperforms XG more. He's more accurate with his shots. But look at his assist stats, look at his passing stats, how much he will bring his teammates into the game more than Victor Gyökeres. That's the difference between the pair of them, essentially. And that's why, with a little bit more versatility as well for Alvarez, I think he'd be a slightly better fit.
Now that, Darren Bent, is what I call in-depth football analysis, and it's been, something that people have kind of lazily thrown in without really backing up that Gyökeres isn't quite good enough, or Alvarez, he'd be a better option with Arsenal linked with him. But I think those numbers that Jim has just crunched there, they tell the story that Alvarez is a better player and probably would outperform Gyökeres in this Arsenal side.
Yeah, agreed. And I think you look at someone like a Kai Havertz, I think Arsenal look more comfortable, which is I know he's not the same as Alvarez, but in terms of, Jim spoke about Alvarez looking after the ball, bringing others into play, the assists. I think that's what Arsenal need. Now, at times we've seen it. We saw it against Manchester City, where Kai Havertz was bringing the ball down. He was fighting with the 2 centre-halves, silky touches, bringing Arsenal up the pitch. Unfortunately for Gyökeres, that's not his strength. It bounces off him a lot. He can't really link play off him. So Arsenal sometimes struggle to get up the pitch. Whereas Julian Alvarez, for me, is top draw. I think Man City missed him last season, his goals, which is why they finished 3rd instead of winning the league the previous season, his last season that he was there. But I think it'd be a fantastic addition, and it doesn't surprise me that you get in Arsenal and there's top sides trying to get after him, because we saw him in the World Cup for Argentina. We've seen him for Atletico in the Champions League. I think he's top A, I really do.
When you mentioned Kai Havertz there, he missed that really good chance at the end of the Man City game. Gyökeres, I'm not saying he would have scored that, but Gyökeres has got goals, he has finished this season. So it's almost like you want the two of them to merge as a player, don't you?
You almost do, you're right, because I think Gyökeres sometimes sniffs out chances and it will drop to him, and he's got that natural predator instinct in front of goal. Whereas, as I said, Kai Havertz is a much better footballer, so if you could kind of merge the two together, it'd be outstanding. But even though, as you said there, for Kai Havertz, he did miss the big chance, the 1v1 when he went through, he did miss the header. I thought his overall performance for Arsenal was outstanding, and that's the best Arsenal played in terms of fluidity against Manchester City they've played in months.
Gyökeres starts, no Kai Havertz, he's not fit for tonight, a previous Champions League winner. Got another goal back at the Emirates. Ian Abrams.
Arsenal 2, Leicester 0, 1 becomes 2 thanks to Semilia Holberg, played in down the right hand side and a shot across the goalkeeper into the far corner. Arsenal doubling up really quickly. Arsenal 2, Leicester 0.
You're listening to the Champions League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car, whatever it is. They're here for it. The big noise you heard about a minute ago was the Atletico Madrid players coming out and taking the half of the pitch away to our right here at the Metropolitano. And behind that goal that they're warming up into, a big posse of Atletico Madrid fans. Flags will be waving, there will be banners, there will be big noise here tonight before kickoff, which is half an hour away on TalkSport.
Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18plusgambleaware.org.
It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep from going under.
Get that Toyota electric feeling with the all-new, all-electric Toyota Urban Cruiser. Available with 0% APR representative and £1,500 deposit contribution. And save £1,500 with the Toyota Electrified Saving. Visit your nearest Toyota centre. Price from $29995. Available on Toyota PCP when financed through Toyota Financial Services by 30th of June 2026. Optional final payment indemnities may be required. See website conditions apply.
Train toilet door. Didn't work. Lock. Didn't work. Everyone's seen me on the bog. Didn't work. Train toilet door. Didn't work.
We can fix that, but I bet an app is actually pretty good.
Bet £10. Get £30 in free bets with Midnight. Search Midnight Sports or download the Midnight app today. New customers only. Restrictions and T's and C's apply. 18 plus. Play responsibly. Gambleaware.org.
Fire up the barbie! With Aldi's barbecue bundle, you can rustle up burgers to feed 4. Get British beef quarter pounders, white rolls, baby leaf salad, cheese slices, and tomato ketchup, all for under a super $6.50. That's That's flipping amazing value from Aldi. Which cheapest supermarket 2025?
Across the world, 1 in 6 children are growing up in a conflict zone. UNICEF supports millions of children living in conflicts every day. They work with communities and local partners to deliver life-saving supplies for children and families like clean water, life-saving therapeutic food and vaccinations so that they can stay healthy. And they stick around after too, helping children learn, recover and thrive. £10 a month could help support children when they need it most. Just search UNICEF Donate today.
Whatever kind of football fan you are, Talk Sport and the Coral Daily Download are here for it to celebrate the fans every day. Whether you're a front row seater or a prawn sandwich eater, a half-and-half scarf wearer or a lifelong faithful torchbearer, a retro shirt for every game or bare-chested, even in the rain. For all the latest news, reaction and odds this season, don't miss the Coral Daily Download every morning from 6 on Talk Sport with Coral. We're here for the fans. 18 plus, gambleaware.org.
Champions League live on Talk Sport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Talk Sport sports headlines with Bostik. For professional grade sealants with easy application and a perfect finish, pros trust Bostik.
With your latest sports headlines, I'm Matt Hutchinson. Mikel Arteta insists his Arsenal side is exceptional ahead of their Champions League semi at Atletico Madrid. Live commentary on the way, right here on Talk Sport. Elsewhere, Mykhailo Mudryk has appealed after he was banned for 4 years for anti-doping violations. We understand Kobbie Mainoo has extended his contract at Man United till 2031. He's expected to be on $150,000 a week, including bonuses. Liverpool are expecting Mo Salah to play again before the end of this season, and Steve McLaren is reportedly having talks with Rotherham United about becoming their manager or another role in the club's hierarchy. They've just been relegated to League Two.
I'm Matt Ford, and I want to tell you about your new favourite podcast,
How to Win the World Cup, from TalkSport.
I'm asking the icons who've been there and done it. We're talking David Seaman, Emmanuel Petit, and many more. It's nostalgic, it's chaotic, and frankly, it's a miracle that we got these legends in a room with us. I've also brought along Alex Brooker, mostly to see if he can swap his Panini stickers for an actual trophy.
I would tell you I went to the 98 World Cup because we won for a scratch card in the McDonald's Happy Meal.
How to Win the World Cup, the brand new podcast from TalkSport. Listen now, wherever you get your podcasts and on the TalkSport YouTube channel.
Warning, this podcast does not guarantee England will actually win anything.
How good was it hearing Laura Woods back on the breakfast show this morning? Absolute TalkSport legend, and giving it to Jamie O'Hara as well. Who doesn't love a bit of that? It's Jeff Stelling and Gabby Agbonlahor on Drive tomorrow from 6. It's time now to look at the latest football action with Ladbrokes.
The big preview on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
And with the pitch full of players warming up, subs, starting 11s, keepers, all sorts are out there. Let's remind you of the team news here in the Metropolitano. Atletico Madrid against Arsenal kicks off at 8. Here's Jim Proudfoot.
2 changes for Arsenal. Gyökeres in for the injured Havertz. Martinelli replaces Eza, who is fit enough for a place on the bench. Madueke and White stay in the side. Saka's on the bench again, and so's Mosquera. It's Raya in goal. White, Saliba, Gabriel and Nkapie. Odegaard, Zubimendi and Rice. Madueke, Gyökeres and Martinelli. Atletico recall Alvarez up front. Lookman's fit and Hansko's back at centre-half. All told, 4 changes to the team that lost to Barcelona here in the last Champions League tie, but still went through. Oblak in goal. Llorente, Pubil, Hansko and Ruggieri, Simeone, Cardoso, Koke and Lookman, Griezmann and Alvarez, and Kickoff is around 25 minutes away.
Jim, thank you very much. That's all thanks to Ladbrokes. 18 plus B, gambleaware.org.
The big preview on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
It is the Champions League live on Talk Sport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk. Away to our left, it's the Arsenal fans in the top tier. That part of the stadium filling up, as is the rest. And in among that Gooner number would normally be Harry Symeou, who does the TalkSport Arsenal podcast. Harry, how are you feeling? Are you nervous?
Yeah, of course. You've got to be nervous, though, haven't you? It's a Champions League semi-final. That's what it's all about. The adrenaline, when you qualify for this stage of the competition, very quickly turns to nerves, doesn't it? And, look, Arsenal, they've got a great chance of making a final for the first time since 2006. And I think at a time where we're all quite nervous about what's happening in the Premier League, we've almost got to hit the pause button and just try and enjoy this occasion for what it is. Arsenal have only been in the last 4 of this competition 4 times in their entire history. So, this is a special night and we've got to embrace it, I think.
Yeah, I think that... What's your view on that football debate? Because there's no doubt it was riveting last night. PSG 5, Bayern Munich 4. Defences were not on top, and defending is part of the game as well. Arteta would insist, I'm sure, privately, dark arts are part of the game as well. So where do you stand on that? Wouldn't you love to see your Arsenal team playing a bit more football?
I would love to see them go out and take teams on and take teams apart the way that Paris Saint-Germain and Bayern Munich can do. But I think it's as simple as saying that Arsenal don't have the same level of attacking talent as those two sides. I think it simply comes down to that. I think we talk a lot about Mikel Arteta's playing style, and yes, there are elements of it that you can say are a little bit negative and you can say are pragmatic first. But ultimately, when I'm sort of at the games, and particularly when I'm covering the games and I'm sitting behind him in the press box, I don't see him saying, sit back, be tentative in possession. You see a really aggressive Mikel Arteta on the touchline. He wants that. And I think for whatever reason in the last couple of months, we've just not seen it. And I think the onus is more on the players than it is the manager at the moment. I think the messages are right. The question could be, why is the message not getting from A to B? Where's the breakdown? That's what Arsenal need to figure out.
It's interesting what you said before about, you fundamentally basically said Arsenal's players aren't as good as PSG's players, the attacking players anyway, or Bayern Munich's attacking players. I've just been given a stat about this Madueke, Martinelli, Gyökeres front 3 that's starting tonight. All 3 are in the bottom 10 in the Premier League for losing the ball per 100 touches. Now, okay, it's a bit of a stat out of nowhere, and you could suggest that's probably because they're trying to play risky balls, but I'm not necessarily sure that's true. Gyökeres is bottom of that whole league, by the way. He loses it 40% of the time he touches it. Those stats show that you're right, that the players aren't that good, but doesn't that just say that with the players at his disposal, Arteta has got Arsenal top of the league and in a Champions League semi-final, the last Premier League representative in the Champions League?
Yeah, I think you've got to give Arteta credit, but at the same time you've got to take something away as well when you're talking about those attacking players, because he's been a big part of that recruitment. Noni Madueke cost Arsenal £50 million. Victor Gyökeres cost Arsenal north of £60 million. Now, I'm not sitting here writing them off and saying that they'll never come good or that they were terrible signings, but at this moment in time they're not producing what Arsenal need. And the Gyökeres stat, I think, is the most interesting one, because it was the biggest game of the season away at Manchester City, and Mikel went with Kai Havertz. And he went with Kai Havertz not because he's a ruthless goal scorer. We know he's not. We've been watching him for long enough. But because he could hold the ball up. Arsenal had an escape and a way out and a way of sort of building play without having to play through the back. They were able to go over the top, get it into his feet. You can trust him to look after it, to protect it, to win a free kick, bring other people into the game. And Victor Gyökeres, for me, doesn't do anywhere near enough of that stuff. And that's why you see Arsenal, I think, trying to play through teams at the moment. When it's not really working, they go direct, but the ball comes straight back because it's not sticking. And it's not just him. I don't think that Madueke is particularly good at that. He doesn't look after the ball in the same way that Saka does. I think there's a debate on the left-hand side that's existed for 2 seasons now. Trossard, Martinelli, are they quite at that tip-top level? Probably not. Can they share the role? Maybe you get away with it. And now you've seen Eza in recent weeks playing in that role, because clearly Mikel also feels that there's not enough coming from that left side.
And so it begs the question, how on earth are Arsenal top of the league? How are they in the Champions League semi-final? And one answer could be it's down to the dark arts, but it's also down to Gabriel and Saliba. It's down to Rice and Zubimendi. And that's probably your foursome that's going to be really important, certainly in this away leg.
Yeah, I mean, the term dark arts, I don't really like it, because I just think it's defending well. Like, there's nothing wrong with defending well.
Oh, come on. Gabriel putting his head into Haaland's face is not defending well, is it?
And he was lucky to get away with that on that particular occasion, right? But I mean, do you really want to see the game spoiled? Do you want to see someone... Yeah. What I took issue with was people calling it a headbutt. That's not a headbutt.
It's an attempted headbutt, yeah.
It's a sort of movement towards you that, should have been punished probably with hindsight. But I think Arsenal being in the position they're in is a credit to how good they are defensively. And I don't think, even as Arsenal fans, we should be afraid to kind of accept and acknowledge that that's what we are at this moment in time. It's got us to this stage. We're top of the Premier League. We're in the Champions League semi-final. Yes, we want to see a little bit more to get over the line and to convince us that this team is ready to go and win these big honours. But so far it's worked. I just think we need that little bit of stardust now. And the hope is that with Saka back, with Odegaard back in the team, and with Eze playing in a sort of more advanced role now, and he's not starting tonight, but obviously I'd expect to see him come on at some point, then hopefully we're going to have that little extra that we need in the final third.
Mate, if you win the 2 trophies, nobody can say, and well, they can say what they want, but they can't say anything with any substance. All you could do is just lift those trophies and say, well, have some of this. I've got another question for you in a second. It's a question that Arsenal fans were asking on the plane over this morning, so just stand by for that. Let's go back to the Emirates. There's another goal there, Ian Abrahams.
Game over here, not even half time. Arsenal 3, Leicester 0. Stina Blackstenius, 150th appearance for Arsenal, and she's flicked ahead of beyond Clark into the back of there. Arsenal 3, Leicester 0.
Arsenal's women might win the Champions League again this season. You could have the men and the women win the Champions League for Arsenal. What a season that could be. Harry, on the plane, Darren Bent and I were sitting with each other. He was my security on the plane and did a great job. I'm unscathed. This beautiful face is unscathed. And there was a conversation among the fans around us about what happens if Arsenal don't win a trophy this season. Does Arteta have to go? The only reason they could come up with him not going is the concern about who would come in. Other than that, I think that those fans were kind of saying, yeah, probably he should go because he's had a long time. If they don't win anything this season, will he ever do it? Where do you stand on that?
I'm very much of the opinion that we have to wait and see what happens for the remainder of the season, and then that's a conversation that should take place. Now, I think the conclusion on it is dependent on the outcomes, obviously, and so I think it's one that we've got to put on ice. But I understand people feeling that way. You know, we've been told for 5-6 years that we were building a project. There's been a lot of money spent. There's been a lot of, you know, players coming in, and he's had the time, obviously. So you can understand why people feel that way, and it's not my job to tell other Arsenal fans how to feel. But the question of who comes next, that's a massive question, because if you're going to start from zero again and then you're going to have a set of players, a group of players that aren't fit for purpose based on the new manager's playing style, then you're going again from the beginning. And I don't know that, you know, the club's ownership, having put all this money and time into this project, will be willing to do that. So I think even if he doesn't win it, by the way, it's not necessarily what I would do, but I think he stays regardless.
Did you argue, and I was asked about it myself, and I said, well, you could say this version of Arteta's Arsenal isn't as easy on the eye as the version a couple of years ago. I think that's right. However, it looks like it could be more successful, and even getting to another Champions League semi-final and being top of the Premier League this long. And a couple of months ago, Arsenal were looking really strong, if not easy on the eye. I think that counts as an improvement. So if you're a manager that keeps improving the team or getting them closer to success, then surely that's got to be a reason for him to stay.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think there was a lot of scepticism about the ownership a good few years back. If you remember when the Super League talk was all ongoing, there were massive protests outside Emirates Stadium, and that was where you really felt that their position as owners of the football club was, you know, causing a lot of problems. Time's gone on and they've shown that they will invest. They've shown that they do care about progression. But the question is, do they want it enough to go that extra mile and to make sure that they get over the line? Or will they be happy with being in the Champions League latter stages, counting the money that comes in with that and being top of the Premier League? So I think it will be Mikel under scrutiny come the end of the season, but it'll also be them again, because if they're seen to leave him in place when the fans feel that he's taken them as far as they can, and we know what Arsenal fans are like, once they turn, it's very difficult to turn it back the other way, then that could be problematic for them as well. So I think everyone's going to be held to account if this season ends with nothing. But while we're in the mix for these titles and trophies and historic achievements, Arsenal never won this thing ever. We've got to be behind them, and I just think there's loads of time over the summer for these conversations, but for now they need to be put on ice.
Yeah, we've got to do the what ifs. I mean, can we go do the hypothetical? I mean, do you work for TalkSport or not? Come on.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm maybe I'm too kind. I don't know.
When's the next Arsenal YouTube show?
I think there's one coming up tomorrow, but I'm not going to be there because I'm not going to make it back in time. But the guys will be recording tomorrow, so that'll be out by tomorrow evening, I'm sure.
Do you want Spurs to go down, by the way?
Yeah, absolutely. It's not even a question. Absolutely.
Well, that was another debate they had on
Yeah.
the plane. It was like, do you actually want them to go down, or do you want them to stay up so we can beat them twice every season? Or
I'm happy to do without the derby for a couple of seasons if it means they go down.
couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Wow, they're staying down. They're going down and staying down. Harry Symeou, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy the game, and second leg as well. The noises cranked up. 15 minutes to kick off here in the Metropolitano on TalkSport. You're listening to Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18 plus. GambleAware.org.
It's like a jungle sometimes. It makes me wonder how I keep on going under.
Get that Toyota electric feeling with the all-new, all-electric Toyota Urban Cruiser. Available with 0% APR representative and £1,500 deposit contribution. And save £1,500 with the Toyota Electrified Saving. Visit your nearest Toyota centre. Price from $29995. Available on Toyota PCP when financed through Toyota Financial Services by 30th of June 2026. Optional final payment. Indemnities may be required. See website conditions apply.
Jack is in construction, totally unaware.
Unaware of what?
He could be paying too much tax. Jack's forever shelling out his own cash to travel between sites or buying tools.
Yeah?
So he may be owed money by HMRC. Rift Tax Refunds helps people get the money back. On average, over £3,000 back. Get the ball rolling. Search Rift Tax Refunds. Search Rift Tax Refunds today.
You. Yeah, you. Listening to the radio. Up to whatever. We just wanted to let you know there's a lotto draw coming up. And
It could be you.
yeah, what he said. Lotto. From the National Lottery. Rules and procedures apply. Players must be 18 or over.
Fire up the barbie! With Aldi's barbecue bundle, you can rustle up burgers to feed 4. Get British beef quarter pounders, white rolls, baby leaf salad, cheese slices, and tomato ketchup, all for under a super $6.50. That's flipping amazing value from Aldi. Which cheapest supermarket 2025?
Struggling to read your phone or holding menus at arm's length? You're not alone. Take care of your vision with Verilux Varifocal lenses. Get instant sharpness at any distance and smooth transitions from near to far. No more switching glasses or straining your eyes. Visit essilor.com to find out more about Verilux lenses and your exclusive offers.
Whatever kind of football fan you are, TalkSport and the Coral Daily Download are here for it to celebrate the fans every day. Whether you're a front row seater or a prawn sandwich eater, a half-and-half scarf wearer or a lifelong faithful torchbearer, a retro shirt for every game or bare-chested, even in the rain. For all the latest news, reaction and odds this season, don't miss the Coral Daily Download every morning from 6 on TalkSport with Coral. We're here for the fans. 18 plus. GambleAware.org.
Champions League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, we're here for it.
Initiate adrenaline pumps. Kickoff live on TalkSport.
Live in the Metropolitano, which is going to be rammed full in around about 10 minutes' time just before we kick off. It's the Champions League semi-final first leg. Arsenal, supported by all those fans who've travelled over in the top tier away to our left, are here to face Atletico Madrid. And some breaking news, actually, pre-kick-off at around about 6 o'clock UK time. Arsenal, the ground staff requested UEFA measure the length of the grass on the pitch because they believed it was too long. So it was measured, and the grass was 26 millimetres, which is below the 30 millimetre limit. Now, we're up high here, but when you look down on it, it actually does look a little bit long. And we know there were problems with this pitch when Spurs came here. Even the Atletico Madrid players have complained about problems with this pitch this season, Darren Bent. So what are Arsenal doing there? Is that a little bit of mind games, or did they genuinely believe the grass was too long?
Potentially, but it's just unwanted noise before the game. I mean, I think Gyökeres spoke about the grass before one of the previous games, saying it's too dry. You just got to concentrate on the performance. Both teams have got a play on it. I understand that maybe the two teams play a different style of football, but you're here now. It's something that it's not an issue. Just go out there and play the performance, play the way that you play, and get the result, and let the rest take care of itself.
Well, this game is brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football, and let's just focus on that pitch situation in just a moment as the light show starts here at the Metropolitano. There is another goal, and we've not even reached half-time yet at the Emirates. Ian Abrahams.
Arsenal 4, Leicester 0. Second for Stina Blackstenius. Long ball forward. It was flicked into her path and she scored as she was slipping down. She's also had a header. We've had other goals from Holberg and also from Frida Munham. Arsenal 4, Leicester 0.
Some stadium this. And the noise in here is electric, and the show ongoing at the moment around the stadium, the roof perimeter. It's basically a big screen. There's messages being pumped around it for the fans to read and enjoy as the team names are read out. Jan Oblak in goal. It feels like he's been here for decades. As they go through the rest of the Atletico Madrid team, you'll be able to hear the cheers after every single name, and there were big cheers here 7 weeks ago yesterday. Slippy Spurs were here. The surface wasn't great. Even the Atletico Madrid players complained about it. Keeper Kinski kept falling over. He was subbed off. Mickey van der Ven slipped over. Another goal was conceded, leading to his sports bar nickname of Mickey Can't Defend. As genius from Jason Cundy, by the way. He's back later. Spurs were 4 down after 22 minutes, and Darren Bent, Arsenal need to know the surface, need to have the right boots, right studs. They can't allow the surface here to determine the result.
What they can't do is allow any risk, Abe, and that's the biggest thing. I think in previous games recently, we've seen them go a little bit more direct, because I think not only for the supporters, but the opposition, when David Raya plays out slowly to Gabriel Saliba, it's going back. They nearly got caught a couple of times, but in the last couple of fixtures, I think they've now sorted that out and said, you know what, right, take the risk out of it completely. David Raya's gone a little bit longer, and they've started to play in the opposition's half. And if there are any effects to this pitch, it's a bit long, it's a bit wet, whatever it may be, if there's any doubt in David Raya's head, or even Gabriel or Saliba, play it forward into the Atletico half and play higher up the pitch.
Have there been a few wobbles from Raya recently, or are you still totally confident? And actually, if you remember when they played Atletico Madrid, that open goal for Julian Alvarez was because Raya went out and didn't deal with the ball properly. He was basically on the touchline when Julian Alvarez fired just wide of the goal.
Yeah, but I still think if you look at some of the saves that he's made this season, I mean, he has been absolutely top drawer, David Raya. Yes, there's been a couple of moments of madness where you've gone, oh, he should have done better there. But at the end of the day, for me, he's been the best goalkeeper in the Premier League this season, potentially the Champions League as well. But he's definitely the last couple of weeks made a couple of changes where he's thought to himself, I need to take the risk out of it. And the further away the ball is from the goal, the less you can see. And finally, I know it's maybe a little bit late in the day, Arsenal finally figured that out, and they are starting to take less risk.
What I'd say is pay attention from the very off, because Atletico Madrid lost the Copa del Rey final on penalties recently. Real Sociedad scored just 15 seconds into the game. So once that whistle goes, pay close attention to our commentary on TalkSport from the Metropolitano. And some interesting points raised by Harry Symeou a moment ago. Seemed to me he was saying the players aren't doing what Mikel Arteta wants. I'm not necessarily sure I agree with that. It feels like he wants Gabriel and Saliba to be that big, solid rock, that defensive credibility to make sure they can then win games 1-0.
Yeah, I think so. I think that the players are getting the instructions from Arteta, but I think where it's not working, potentially, not even so much not working, but the manager's got to be the reflection of the team. If he shows calmness, I believe the team will show calmness. But there's been times this season, certainly recently, where Arteta's he's in the technical areas at the fourth official quite early on. He can't keep still, and that reflects and that translates onto the pitch. And at times, Arsenal looked a little bit cagey. So I don't quite 100% agree with what Harry said there, but I understand where he's coming from. But I think the instructions that Arteta's given it, I think sometimes the players are taking it too literally on board, which is why they find themselves in one or two situations that maybe can be avoided.
Well, what an atmosphere here inside the Metropolitano. Fans in full voice, flags are flying, nods to history all around that screen on the perimeter of the roof, nods to history all around the stadium as well. Scarves being held above heads. And those Arsenal fans up away to our left are certainly being drowned out. But if it goes their way, they will make themselves heard, no question about it. But right now, Darren Bent, all they can do is just sit and watch and listen to this spectacle.
Absolutely, and play their part. I mean, Arsenal fans here, they've come here believing that Arsenal can get a result. Atletico are a good side. But if Arsenal play the way that we know they can do, certainly earlier on in the Champions League phase, then not that they shouldn't have any problems, but they know what to expect from Atletico Madrid. But can Arsenal kind of replicate that performance they showed against Manchester City with that ruthless cutting edge? And if they do that, I think they'll win tonight, Aid.
It's truly stunning, the noise inside this bowl, this cauldron of a stadium in the Spanish capital, Madrid. Atletico Madrid, having been here less than 10 years, they've won a La Liga title here. They'd love to bring a Champions League to this new stadium, and what a stadium, one of the most stunning in European football, in world football, no question about it. UEFA Champions League is the logo that's on the pitch that will greet the players when they finally make their way out through the tunnel onto the carpet, and the Arsenal crest to the left, the Atletico Madrid crest to the right, and the Champions League ball covering the centre circle, about to be lifted by the volunteers. Kickoff is drawing ever closer, the players still yet to appear, huge numbers of photographers roped off either side of the walkway between the tunnel and the pitch. As the noise gets louder and louder again, players are in the tunnel, they're on their way out, and here they come. Some noise in Madrid tonight. Now, what about tomorrow? East Midlands meets West Midlands in the Europa League semi on TalkSport. Forest Villa tomorrow night with Jim on commentary alongside Forest legend Stuart Pearce and Villa legend Andy Townsend. Join Natalie Sawyer from 7 on TalkSport for that. Wow, streamers flying down from the stands. Some of them have hit us here in the commentary. Basically, huge toilet rolls being thrown. It's like old school 70s English football. Extraordinary scenes in the Metropolitano. Arsenal must be well aware by now, as those players have come out onto the pitch, that they are going to be in a semi-final. These Atleti fans are letting them know. Well, tonight Arteta doesn't care what they think. He doesn't care about the beautiful game. He doesn't care what anyone thinks. He couldn't care less about a PSG Bayern loving. Last night was football's fine arts. Tonight it's all about the dark arts, and the Arsenal fans, they're here for it. And so is TalkSport. Atletico Madrid against Arsenal, with your commentary team of former England striker Darren Bent, alongside Jim Proudfoot.
Adrian, thank you, and a very good evening to you. A season that has promised so much enters its final 7 games, and if the once serene, all-conquering progress of winter has been met head-on by trepidation, wobbles and fear of demise, it is worth reiterating that Arsenal will enter May with a crack at making this the best campaign in their history. The double doable, one step at a time. The next 30-odd days are monumental, starting tonight at the scene of Tottenham's nadir, where Spurs lost their footing and their own European hopes on the night when everyone was talking about those Kinski boots. Atletico 4 up in 20 minutes, reiterating they're a far cry these days from the dour, stereotypical Simeone teams of yesteryear. In fact, this fixture represents a very different type of challenge for both sides in 2026 than he would have done 3 or 4 years ago. They're the two clubs who played the most European Cup games in history without ever having lifted the trophy. One of them will earn another crack at glory in Budapest next month, and if October's meeting of the two showed a gunner's superiority, the passage of time suggests things might be much closer now. Atletico Madrid line up with Oblak in goal, Pubil, Hansko, Ruggieri and Llorente at right back, then Simeone, Cardoso, Koke and Lookman, with Griezmann and Alvarez up front for Arsenal. Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Gabriel and Nkapie, Erdegaard, Zubamendi and Rice, Madueke, Gyökeres and Martinelli. On the Arsenal bench, Mosquera, Calafiori, Lewis Skelly and Salmon, Norgard, Saka, Eza, Trossard, Dowman, Jesus, Setford and Aretha Balaga. Well, I've been fortunate to sit in some stadium with some atmosphere. Never have I had a surreal start to the evening like tonight, where my colleague alongside me has had to duck out of the way of flying toilet rolls. But Darren Bent, such an atmosphere here. That's what it is, the remnants of those white streamers way to our right-hand side. Baichez in Andrex quickly as they're going up.
Absolutely. I mean, as you said, they both had the duck, nearly got hit by a toilet roll, but it makes for the atmosphere, and that's why Arsenal in this situation have got to start well, Jim, because if you give Atletico with this atmosphere, it's loud in here, it's hostile. If you give them even a sniff that you don't quite fancy it, they'll run all over you. So I think the first 5 to 10 minutes for Arsenal are vital, Jim.
Late spring nights when the games kick off still in dusky daylight. Matches always of so much importance. There is always just something about night games at this time of year. Atletico Madrid, red and white striped shirts, blue shorts, kick from left to right. Arsenal in their change kit of very dark blue shirts. Defending the end away to our right hand side, where David Raya is, like you were moments ago, having to take evasive action. For the first time in their history, Arsenal have reached the Champions League semi-final for a second successive season. 12 months ago, those dreams were dashed by PSG. Now Atletico stand between the Gunners and their first final in 20 years. Can they keep the dream alive? First leg tonight, second leg Tuesday night in North London, and we are underway. Arsenal immediately pressing from the front with Erdegaard. Jan All Black with time to take a touch, just chips the ball down to the right hand side towards halfway, where it's brought down by Diego Simeone's son, Giuliano, who's been in inspirational form, and he's got it again, running it in Cappier for the first time. Griezmann with a little step over, Alvarez onto his right foot, tried his luck from the edge of the penalty area. It was blocked, chested on them by Koke. Arsenal first to the second ball in the midfield, pump it forward, and Pugel will go back for his goalkeeper. It is a very intense atmosphere, and Atletico already showing signs of intent.
Yeah, they have, and we spoke about the pitch before the game, Jim, and Hincapié there, he loses his footing in the first couple of minutes, so he's got to be careful about that. I mean, he went to control the ball and slipped, and it could have been a little bit dangerous, but I think if you're Arsenal, you want Atletico to go long. You've got Gabriel, you've got Saliba, Hincapié and Ben White. When you look at the size of Griezmann and Alvarez, you'd expect Arsenal's two centre-halves to be able to dominate them two, so there's no point pressing them and then letting them play round you. If you can forfeit Atletico and Oblak to go a little bit longer, you might get a bit of joy there.
Now, this really isn't an Atletico Madrid like those first 8-9 years under Simeone. There are goals at both ends in their games these days. There have been 59 of them in their 14 Champions League ties so far, an average of more than 4 a game. In fact, they've only played one game more than Arsenal in League and Cup this season in the Champions League, and there have been 30 more goals in Atletico's games than Arsenal's. They're in possession with the Londoner, Ademola Lookman, the Nigerian international. Clever ball in from him. He's made for the return run. It was blocked off and it's shepherded comfortably over the line by Declan Rice, and out of play for a goal kick that'll be taken by Arsenal away to our right-hand side. We'll find out as the night progresses exactly how Atletico Madrid are approaching this. Away from home, they've been in no kind of form recently. They've lost 5 of their last 6 games away from home. Arsenal's home form, particularly in Europe, has been very impressive. So it'll be interesting to think if this is level going into the final 20-25 minutes or so, how much Atletico decide they're going to try and gamble. Arsenal take the goal kick play out from the back. This game brought to you in partnership with TNT Sports, the home of European football. And with 3 minutes in, Darren Bent, at 0-0.
Yeah, Arsenal, as you said there, certainly Atletico Madrid, and there's another player losing their footing as well. There's definitely something wrong with the pitch. That was Koke, obviously the captain of Atletico, slipping over there as well. But situations like that, Gabriel passing the ball out of play, you don't want to give Atletico Madrid any kind of evidence or anything to make them believe, do you know what, Arsenal don't quite fancy this, by making mistakes there. We saw the goal kick. I'd prefer to see David Raya potentially go a little bit longer and start to play in their half, but again, they've got to watch their footing, because that's now twice within the first 5 minutes we've seen 2 players slip.
And it will be tricky for players from both teams, that goes without saying, but the pitch really isn't good. No, I'll say that now before there is a significant moment, as there was when the Spurs were here 6-7 weeks or so ago. Atletico working it forward down the left behind Lookman, and Lookman, whose last 3 goals have been against Real Madrid, Barcelona, and then in the cup final against Sociedad. He has scored a hat-trick in the European final, but he's never scored against Arsenal. And playing for the 6th time tonight. He's had a fantastic start to his Atletico career after his January move. They're in possession with Simeone. Back to him from Griezmann. The blonde-haired Llorente making a run on the overlap, trying to get round the back of Nkapie, who saw him coming and dig the ball away. Mark Pubel, the centre-half, works square from him through the midfield. Cardoso out to the Atletico Madrid left. Another opportunity for them to try and get the ball forward. Arsenal very regimented at the moment, defending in a tight defensive shape, defending quite narrowly. No thoughts of trying to get the ball forward towards or Martinelli. It's just about laying a solid platform in this game in the early stages. Lookman up against William Saliba. Why did you drop back into centre half for a moment as Saliba went out to deal with the winger? Now Arsenal will get it forward. Martinelli, Llorente, the right back, following him every step of the way. Martinelli did well, squeezes it down the line here for Noni Madueke. 0-0 with 5 gone here on TalkSport. Madueke with a little layoff. Martin Odegaard able to bring it forward. The ball in behind Madueke, but Nkapie still going to be able to pick it up. He's 15 yards or so outside the Atletico Madrid penalty area. And now laid back through towards Gabriel. To Declan Rice. On towards Martin Odegaard. Just the one goal to his name all season. Noni Madueke level with the edge of the penalty area. And then a tight little turn, an injection of pace, stands it up towards the far post. Martinelli coming round the back, and Nkapie thrashed a shot towards goal that hit his teammate and went out of play for a goal kick.
That's what you want to see from Noni Madueke on that right-hand side. I thought he let Ruggieri off the hook in that first time he got the ball. He didn't really go at him. He passed the buck a little bit too early. But in that situation there, he goes between two. He goes past Hanko like he's not even there. And he stands a wonderful ball back up to the back post. And Nkapie comes in. I think Martinelli got up a little bit early. And as he went to hit the volley, Nkapie hits the back of Martinelli. But that's what Arsenal have to do. I think 1v1 in attacking areas, I think there's a severe lack of pace for Atletico Madrid. And that might be a way for us to kind of exploit that.
First side of goal for either team, 6 minutes in, it's 0-0. Remember, in the WSL, the second half about to get underway. Arsenal leading Leicester 4-0. Leicester will be consigned to the relegation playoff as a result of that. And playoffs tonight in the National League and the National League North and South. Dorking leading Maidenhead by a 0-0. Midway inside the first half, the games at Bournemouth and Macclesfield both 0-0. We'll keep you updated. Atletico in possession with Lookman left-hand side of the penalty area and rolls it back outside the box. Alvarez, the creation on his last ever Champions League game on this ground, slipped in on the right-hand side of the penalty area for the run of Simeone, but it's marshaled out of play effectively for a goal kick that'll be taken by David Raya and Arsenal. 7 gone here on TalkSport at 0-0.
I'm really intrigued to see how Atletico are going to approach this, because Arsenal are really, really narrow and they're almost daring Atletico to cross the ball. Because you look at the size of Arsenal, certainly at centre half, and then you put them up against Alvarez and Griezmann, Lookman, they're not blessed with height or any necessarily good in the air, power in the air. I just wonder how Atletico are going to approach it. They're going to have to come off, be a little bit cute with their kind of build-up play, because they know they can't just cross it, because Arsenal gobble it up all evening.
Gabriel now towards Noni Madueke on the Arsenal right, play back for Martin Odegaard. Odegaard going square to his left-hand side for Zubamendi and immediately getting the return ball and then trying to steer it forward. A slight mistake, almost presented the ball to Martinelli on the Arsenal left. Llorente eventually plays it off him and it goes out of play for a goal kick. Plenty of conjecture about the side that has been picked by Arteta tonight with this front three. It is the 10th time this season that these front three have started together, with Martinelli on the left, Madueke on the right and Gyökeres through the middle. Arsenal have won 4, lost 2 of the previous 9 games. Haven't scored that many goals when these three have played together in Trandom. And recently, you look back at some of the performances when they have been together. The 0-0 at home to Sporting, the 2-1 defeat at home to Bournemouth, the failure to win at Wolves. There is concern that this might not be necessarily the optimal combination, but it might be that this is just the starters as far as Arteta is concerned, and that thinks he has got maybe half an hour in the boots of Saka to be able to come on in this second half. Arsenal have possession, they're inside their own half. Rice getting it forward to halfway. Martin Ødegaard can turn slightly awkwardly in possession, but effectively plays it forward towards Madueke. Ødegaard gets it back again from Ben White, who's been picked to play ahead of Mosquera tonight. Rice back for Ødegaard again with the yellow captain's armband around his left arm. Back from him to Declan Rice as night begins to fall in the eastern suburbs of the Spanish capital. Ødegaard square to his left for Gabriel. Gabriel to Rice, splitting the two centre halves, finding Saliba. Brisk ball from him. Madueke did well to keep it in play. Madueke's forced back inside his own half under pressure from Alvarez. Lays it back again for Declan Rice, who can bring it forward through the centre circle. Martinelli holding the width on the Arsenal left, but Rice has turned back and gone the other way. Ødegaard out towards Ben White, and the whistles tell you that it is Arsenal in sustained possession here at the Metropolitano, 0-0 on TalkSport with 10 gone. Saliba now towards Rice. Gyökeres hardly had a touch of the ball so far, but making his way forward towards the edge of the penalty area, hoping that the service will come in from out wide. Madueke, Ødegaard, back from Rice again towards Saliba. And Saliba diverts the ball forward towards Noni Madueke. Still, Arsenal had it. They've probably been able to string passes together for a good 40-50 seconds in this move. Not necessarily going forward with it, nor is it being played at a blistering tempo when Arsenal have possession. Rice getting it back out for Noni Madueke again. Gunners waiting for the perfect moment to deliver. Ødegaard hoping this is it. Fires it inside the penalty area, but it's easily headed away by Simeone. It'll come down on the left-hand side from Martinelli. Atletico might be able to break. Koke stabbing it back for the blonde-haired Griezmann. Space for Cardoso in the midfield, and the United States international with a brisk switch of play that Lookman didn't read, and he goes straight out of play in front of a Spanish flag on the far touchline for an Arsenal throw.
Yeah, nice passage of play there from Arsenal, but there's a severe lack of movement. I mean, I looked at Victor Gyökeres, he was almost standing between the two centre halves. Martinelli wasn't really making a run. I mean, Noni Madueke in his first 11 minutes has looked really, really sharp when they've got the ball to him, but I think there's got to be a little bit more movement.
Gyökeres chasing a through ball here, and it's picked up by Oblak. Another goal at the Emirates. Here's Ian Abrahams.
Arsenal 5, Leicester 0, ball played to the back post, and Holberg claims her second, like Blackstenius did in the first half. Arsenal 5, Leicester 0.
Oblak with the ball out of the penalty area that wasn't the best, and Madueke's eyes lit up for a moment. He couldn't quite get on the end of it, and Atletico are going to be able to bring it away with Hansko. High ball fall from him. That was an awkward one for Nkapie, off balance. Very nearly over the top for Simeone. It was a vital touch from Nkapie. The danger's still not cleared, and Griezmann's ball back in was poor. Alvarez picking up the seconds. He can't work it past Gabriel. Cleared out by Arsenal again, but Koke can pick it up after good work from Cardoso. Hansko to his left. Now Ruggieri. The Italian just working it forward down the inside left channel. Arsenal with everybody back behind the ball. Gyökeres, the most advanced of their players, is within 20 yards of the edge of his own penalty area. Fastly experienced Koke to the ponytailed Llorente, drops his shoulder, trying to get the better of Nkapie, who stands his ground well. It comes off his thigh and goes out for an Atletico throw down with a corner flag.
Really good defending from Nkapie, but that was one of those situations, the little 1-2 from Llorente, really well worked, but he had to look up and he couldn't really cross it. I mean, they haven't really got a focal point or a target in there for them to cross it to, so they have to be really methodical and really precise in terms of their crossing and their passing in and around the box.
Simeone to take this throw. He's made his way back to the hoardings, takes 4 steps forward, arches the back, hurls it in, headed away by Gabriel, bounces 10 yards outside the penalty area. Then a poor header from Pubil. Arsenal trying to work it forward with an immediate touch, giving Gyökeres something to chase, but he was crowded out of it very easily by Llorente and Pubil. And Oblak will pick it up.
Yeah, right idea for Martinelli there. I like that. The moment he got the ball under control, he went to spin it in behind for Victor Gyökeres, who was maybe a little bit on his heels and didn't quite have the pace to get there. But that's what you want to see from Arsenal, on the front foot, trying to cause problems, because before, the passage play before that, 50 seconds, they kept possession but didn't really get anywhere with it. But you need movement, you need runners going in behind, you need people coming off the touchlines, pulling into little pockets there. But it's a good ball for Martinelli, but Good defending from Atletico.
Now Ruggieri can bring it forward down the Atletico left. The ball in towards Alvarez. Takes a touch, trying to get it onto his favoured right foot. Gets a shot in, and well saved by David Raya. Diving away to his left-hand side. First save either goalkeepers had to make of any note tonight. And it's tipped away for an Atletico corner.
Yeah, really well worked again from Adnan Lukman. Cut the ball back to the edge of the box of Julian Alvarez, who manipulates the ball really well. He shifts it from left to right just to create that half a yard, and he gets a good strike on it. And in the end, I think it's a comfortable save from David Raya, but again, testing the goalkeeper. I think that's the type of service that Alvarez and Griezmann are going to have.
11 Champions League ties this season for Raya, 8 clean sheets. He's only led in 3. Some record. Griezmann with this corner, plenty of whip on it. Raya just got something under pressure to be able to punch it away. Comes back out for Griezmann again. Left-footed ball, swerved in towards the edge of the 6-yard box, and Gabriel gets that clear. Looking for Martinelli. Koke couldn't bring it down. Opportunity for Arsenal to be able to break here with Gyökeres. Llorente, oh, he's got past him, and he's squared it, and it's Ødegaard, and he's in, and it's blocked. Great defending from Hansko. It just looked as though he's going to open up for Martin Ødegaard. For his first Champions League goal of the season, he got the shot in, but it was a vital intervention, and it's beginning to open up now.
Took too long, Jim. Took too long. Fantastic play from Victor Gyökeres. Strength, power to go past Llorente, who couldn't, once he got into the box, couldn't touch him from this left-hand side. He cuts a lovely ball back just past the penalty spot to Ødegaard, and instead of him hitting it first time with his right foot, he tried to be too precise, taking control, then move it again, and that just allowed the defender to get back and make that block. But I think if he hits it first time, Jim, I think it's a goal.
Lookman. That inside left for a moment here for Atletico Madrid, having the majority of possession, as most would have predicted. Not a side that do their work without the ball these days like they used to be. Chip forward towards the edge of the penalty area here, and Capie going in strongly with Simeone and winning the free kick on the edge of his own penalty area. Listening to Atletico Madrid against Arsenal in the Champions League. It's live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Whatever it is, they're here for it. Great to hear TalkSport legend Laura Woods on breakfast this morning. Woods talking about this game, about her beloved Arsenal, and in a confident mood as well. And giving plenty to Jamie O'Hara, who may well have his say later on the sports bar. With Jamie alongside Jason tonight, your chance to have your say on national radio when we're finished here at about 10:15. The sports bar open for business on 03717 223344. And Arsenal bring it forward with Declan Rice. Out of the right-hand side of the penalty area for Noni Madueke. Madueke coming back outside the box. Ødegaard, Rice, Madueke again. Air underneath that. Gyökeres there to attack it. And then Capie got his head to it. It was a looping header. All Black had all the time in the world to take a couple of steps to his left-hand side and then catch the ball as it dropped into his hands. 0-0. Yeah,
good play again from Noni Madueke. Just a little stand-up to the back post again, but Simeone and Llorente both do well there, because Victor Gyökeres has got the size on them, but they get their body in there, they get body between themselves and the ball, and Gyökeres can't quite get a running jump onto it as well, so they've done really good defending there.
I got more live European football for you tomorrow in semi-final first leg week. It's East Midlands against West, Forest against Villa, which is not to be missed. 8 o'clock on TalkSport tomorrow night. Palace also in semi-final action. Palace in Poland, in Kickoff, to take on Shakhtar Donetsk in the first leg. That's live on TalkSport 2 tomorrow night. And then the Premier League's back Friday, week 35, starting with Leeds against Burnley. Big game for Leeds, win it, and they are not mathematically safe, but surely theoretically safe. That's an 8 o'clock kickoff in West Yorkshire on Friday night here on TalkSport. Here in Madrid tonight, it's 0-0. Barely a cloud in the sky. A day that has been cool, breezy, but much better than was widely anticipated. Ben White's offside here as the ball is chipped over the top down the Arsenal right. Yeah, it's a free kick that Atletico would take near the edge of their own box. It's been a decent start. Benty 18 minutes gone at 0-0, only the one shot of note for David Raya to save.
Yeah, it has been, certainly from Arsenal's perspective, keeping the ball really well, waiting for opportunities. As I said earlier, I'd like to see a little bit more movement from the front three as well, maybe have a little change. Madueke and Martinelli run in behind, come off the lines a little bit. It's a little bit all predictable at the minute, but in terms of the midfield battle, and getting the ball forward. I thought Declan Rice has got on it and started really well. Martin Odegaard's looked really lively as well. It's just, can they kind of fashion that chance, should I say, sorry, and really test Oblak at the minute.
And Oblak takes the free kick, whacks it forward long down the left-hand side, and it goes straight through for David Raya, away to our right. Let's go back to the Emirates. Ian Abrahams.
Arsenal 6, Leicester 0. Mariano Caldente, 15 yards out, left foot, has curled the ball into the back of the net. Arsenal on easy street here, 6-0 up on Leicester.
Down in the National League North playoff, Chester lead at Macclesfield 1-0. They go to Kidderminster if they win. Odegaard playing it forward. Brought down in the midfield by Griezmann. Griezmann's ball tapped through the midfield. Well read by Declan Rice, who's got a bit of history in the latter stages of this competition against Madrid opposition. Fall from him to Zubimendi. Back in his home country, playing on a ground where he has never won in his career. He's got it again, Zubimendi. Back from him to Rice again. The options to his left-hand side, including Capier and then Martinelli, and both get a touch of the ball. Martinelli coming forward towards the edge of the box, knocks it slightly back behind square. Zubimendi plays it straight back out to him, not with a great degree of quality, but Martinelli had time to retrace his steps and bring it under control. And Arteta stands not quite motionless on the edge of the technical area. I can't imagine Mikel Arteta motionless, but he's there with hands on hips and his lucky black top, pointing the way now, urging Martin Odegaard to get this forward. So he plays it back, and he goes to Saliba, and Saliba to Rice on the edge of the centre circle. It's 0-0 here, but Arsenal in moments like this having decent possession, albeit that they're usually going sideways with it. Martinelli trying to supply a little bit of potency. Zubimendi, it's a good ball in. Odegaard there attacking it, so too Madueke's come off one of them and hit an Atletico defender, and goes out for Arsenal's first corner of the night.
Yeah, it's a great ball there from Zubimendi. They work it really well from this left-hand side, Martinelli, and he drops into a little area and he just leaves it that back post, and you think Madueke is going to come in on that right-hand side and get his head to it, and I think it's Hanko just gets up at the last minute and manages to deflect it away for a corner. But again, Arsenal working it really, really well, and when they move it about and Martinelli comes off the line, Madueke comes off the line, it just creates space, and that's how Arsenal getting their opportunities.
Well, the corner will be taken in a moment, but first of all, there's a little bit of concern for one of the Arsenal players inside the penalty area. The medical staff are being called over. It's just a bang to the head, I think, as players were attacking that ball that was sent inside the penalty area. Got to admit, Benji, I can't see who that is. That's
I think it's Victor Gyökeres.
Yeah. And up on the big screen, can't see him away to our left, our view obscure, but he is there on the big screen. Who made of Gyökeres' start? This is never likely to be a night where he's going to be blessed with a huge amount of service.
No, but he's had one big moment for sure in this first half where he done really well. He broke forward, he managed to shrug off Llorente, get himself into the box, and he cut a really good ball back to Martin Odegaard, who should have taken it first time, but he tried to be too precise. Maybe it's a confidence thing for Martin Odegaard because he hasn't scored one goal all season. I think it's one of them where if he comes onto it, a fully confident, fit Martin Odegaard comes onto it, strokes it in the corner, Arsenal 1-0 up. But in terms of Gyökeres, he's trying to hold it. I thought he's take up some really intelligent positions. Is can they keep servicing him? Can they keep giving him the ball? Can they keep getting the service into the box?
Well, he scored twice when these two sides last met. You remember that devastating spell that Gunners had just after half-time. 4 goals in 13 minutes. On a night that Atletico only had a single shot on target. They've already matched that. It was 0-0 in that game at half-time before Arsenal exploded into life just before the hour mark.
2 crisp finishes, if I can remember rightly. One was off his hip, and I think the other one was that little ricochet into the corner. Victor Gyökeres, listen, I'll take it.
Hey,
trust me.
All count. Mate, you scored off the beach ball. It's going to be a corner which will be taken on the Arsenal right, which is more than I ever did before you say it. First corner for Arsenal. Gyökeres off the field at the moment. He's going to be able to come back on in a moment, but not yet, having received treatment. In comes this corner, in towards the near post. Griezmann easily heads it away. There's an Arsenal player who's claiming, I think it's Gabriel, that he was pushed there as he attacked the ball. Nothing given. You'd imagine the VAR will be having a look at it. It's gone back for Raya. Raya knocks it out towards the left. It's come off the top of Gabriel's head and out of play for a throw. And now we will go across to the referee, Danny Macaulay, the Dutchman, and just make the point that he felt that he was manhandled to the ground there, and he's given short shrift and told to get on with it. It's a throw to Atletico Madrid, and it's still 0-0.
Yeah, I think maybe he was blocked off. I don't think there was any holding there. I think maybe he ran into one of the Atletico Madrid players and he went down a little bit, and yeah, there was no way they were going to the screen for that. But it was so congested in there as well. He's trying to get free. I think Nketiah was trying to get himself free as well, and Atletico just got their bodies in the way and made it difficult.
Llorente taking a throw. He's right back tonight. He's played in central midfield on occasion over the course of this season, but at right back this evening, and the play stops because of a handball in the heart of the midfield. So the WSL Arsenal 6 up at home to Leicester. In the National League playoff, Boreham Wood against Forest Green is 0-0. Chester lead at Macclesfield. Dorking lead at home to Maidenhead in the National League South. 0-0 here tomorrow night. Forest Villa on Talk Sport, which will be an absolute belter. Forest playing their way into form. Live on Talk Sport last Friday, up on Wearside with that 5-0 win at Sunderland. Cannot wait for that. Stuart Pearce and Andy Townsend, part of your commentary team tomorrow night. And from the City Ground, illustrious captains apiece from both teams. It's David Raya. Has the ball at his feet, inside his own penalty area. And then he briskly hits it with the instep of his left boot out towards Saliba. Pressure being applied. Not the best kick from Raya, but got enough distance on it. Zubimendi, knowing that Raya would have been out of position, just had to make sure that he could help it on. Couldn't do so constructively. And it goes out of play for a throw that'll be taken over on the Atletico Madrid left-hand side. 25 minutes gone, and we're still waiting for the first really significant moment of the time. And
that's what I'm talking about, Jim, there from David Raya. There's times where you haven't got to try and play short. Go a little bit longer.
Gabriel trying to do that now with the ball, just opened up his left foot and flicked it over the top, but too deep for Gyökeres, and the pupil's going to be able to bring it away.
There's definitely a fragility to Atletico at the minute. They're not quite sure how to approach this game at the minute because they've got some wonderful technical players, but they're getting the ball into attacking areas. They're not sure whether to cross it, whether to cut the ball back, and even when they're playing out from the back as well, they want to go a little bit more direct, but they're looking up and they're seeing Saliba up against Griezmann, and they're seeing Gabriel up against Alvarez, and they're thinking, well, we can't hit that ball, so they're almost stuck a little bit in terms of defensively where to go with the ball.
Yeah, their form has fallen off. They've lost 4 of the last 6 league games, and much better form when they took on Tottenham than they are coming into these games against Arsenal. They only won 1 of the last 3 here, and in fact, going into that game against Spurs, they'd only lost 8 out of 39. They've lost 6 out of 9 coming into this one all told. Another goal at the Emirates for Ian Abrahams.
Arsenal 7, Leicester 0. Leicester, by the way, will finish bottom. Leo Williamson heading in a corner. Arsenal going for 10 now. Arsenal 7, Leicester 0.
Still 25 minutes for him to get him as well. 7 up. As Arsenal's men bring it forward here in the Champions League semi-final first leg. Noni Madueke falling into the feet of Martin Ødegaard. National League South playoff Dorking hoping to book a semi-final away at Torquay on Saturday. Now 2-0 up at home to Maidenhead. Gabriel forward for Zubimendi. Zubimendi to Saliba, to White, out to Madueke. Just a yard or so in from that right-hand touchline, threatening to run at Lookman and just shuffling inside and then squandering possession. An opportunity for Atletico to bring it away with Ruggieri, and he's found Lookman. Lookman taking it on, trying to get away from Declan Rice, who got himself back goal side. He's been able to feed Griezmann. Back for Lookman, still onside inside the Arsenal penalty area. 2 Gunners players paying him close attention, but he's still able to work it back. Ball swept inside the box and volleyed away easily by Saliba. Comes down towards the edge of the centre circle for Mark Pubo. You're with Talk Sport. 28 minutes gone. 0-0. Back out to Ruggieri, the uncapped Italian coming in off the left flank. Arsenal just being hemmed in inside their own half for a moment. Out it goes from Griezmann to the left. Alvarez attacking it. Raya had it covered. The looping header goes over the bar.
Yeah, really well worked there from Atletico Madrid, and again the cross and the timing of the run was the key in that situation, because Julian Alvarez is never going to out-jump Gabriel, but he manages just to get in front of him and just try and get a clean contact on it, and it just loops over the Arsenal goal. But I think that's how Atletico are going to have to approach this game, because real lack of ideas in terms of in and around the box, not really caused Arsenal any problems. They've caused Arsenal problems on the turnovers when they've won the ball back high up.
9 goals in his 9 goals in the Champions League so far this season, 4 in his last 4, including 1 against Barcelona in the last round and 3 against Spurs in the round before that. He's never scored against Arsenal in his career. Julian Alvarez, who is the 19-goal joint leading marksman for Atletico, the former Palace striker Alexander Sørloth, also on 19. He's on the bench tonight. He's been left out in favour of Alvarez. Atletico taking a throw across the edge of their own penalty area. Gyökeres, to his credit, put immediate pressure there on the Pubil and forced him to a high hurried clearance. Little clever flick from Ruggieri to Hansko. And then Ruggieri gets it back. Koke trying to link up the play on the left-hand side of the midfield. He's making his 734th Atletico appearance tonight. Here's Madueke firing one in from the edge of the D. Oblak diving away to his right, probably had it covered. It's gone past the post by about 1.5 foot and out for a goal kick.
Yeah, better end product there from Noni Madueke. And again, Arsenal putting the press on. Atletico can't play out because they know they can't go direct because the ball comes straight back. So they try to be a little bit too intricate. They win the ball back. It's a lovely little flick from Martin Odegaard there on that right hand side. And Noni Madueke brings it across the box. And you're thinking it's going to nestle in that far right hand corner, but he just gets a little bit too much on it. But that's better. End product. That's what you want to see from your 2 wide players.
You're listening to Atletico Madrid against Arsenal in the Champions League. It's live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it, but now at enterprise.co.uk. Zubamendi's got the ball at his feet. Play forward towards Martinelli. He's going through the middle at the moment. Gyökeres now puts pressure on the Atletico back pass towards Oblak, who can easily get it clear. He's another player who's got more than 500 Atletico games behind him, more than 220 clean sheets for the club as well. One against his name at the moment. He's missed quite a few of the recent games through injury. Here's Koke. Now Griezmann will take over, diverting it swiftly and accurately back towards Llorente. Well played by Johnny Cardoso in the heart of the midfield. The United States international back towards Griezmann. Simeone couldn't get it to stick, and Odegaard's won it back. And he's plumb dead centre in the Atletico half as he picks it up and turns and does a full 360 before laying it out towards Noni Madueke. White bandage around his lower left arm. And he has it again here, Martin Odegaard. Odegaard to Madueke. Takes a touch, moves it back in field towards Declan Rice. Fair bit of shadow boxing going on at the moment between these two. I think Madueke feels as though he's got the beating of Lookman. He'll try and take him on whenever he can. Lookman getting the defensive angles right, forced him back. Arsenal very quickly switch it from Madueke's right out towards Martinelli on the left. Martinelli coming into a central area, trying to get away from Koke. Down it comes for Nkapie. There's a real reluctance at the moment to put any kind of first-time ball over from wide positions. Nkapie again, electing to go for Martinelli rather than trying to deliver. Back it will come across the horseshoe for Gabriel.
Arsenal just turning down too many opportunities. I mean, they worked it really well there with Nkapie on his left foot to just put the ball in the box with a bit of quality, and they've ended up back at David Raya. Arsenal need to sense that Atletico are there for the taking at the minute. Atletico are unsure of ideas in terms of attacking ways. The only time they've got a little bit of joy is when Arsenal give the ball away.
Remember, they have conceded 25 Champions League goals this season, Atletico. Arsenal have only conceded 5. Here's Griezmann, setting it up on the edge of the penalty area. Alvarez thought he was offside. Simeone tried to roll him in. His countryman didn't make any run for the ball at all. And it bypasses another little bit of white toilet roll inside David Raya's penalty area and rolls out of play for a goal kick. The flag still being waved with gusto in the home end away to our right-hand side. But Arsenal, whilst they haven't silenced the home crowd, far from it, have certainly given a good account of themselves through the opening 33 goalless minutes.
Yeah, they have, and that's exactly what I was talking about there, Jim. When Arsenal give the ball away, that's when Atletico look at their most dangerous. But then when Atletico are winning the ball back, they look unsure what to do with it. Do they cross it? Do they shoot? Little 1-2s around the edge of the box. They're really struggling in terms of how to break Arsenal down, and Arsenal need to sense that. I think if Arsenal up it at least 10%, it's there for them. Noni Madueke's got the fullback on toes. Martinelli is linking up really well with Nkapie on this side of the pitch. but they've got to show that real belief and intent to really go and hurt Atletico Madrid.
That's a really good take from Hincapié, because the ball to him was too high. He timed his jump to perfection, like a baseball outfielder down by the wall, trying to make a catch, and he's brought it down on his solar plexus and controlled it, and now we'll steer it down the left-hand side for Rice, who made a couple of runs towards the ball, and it's gone straight out of play, and Rice turns and just with a placatory gesture with his hands tells Hincapié to calm down, as if the game plan is just to try and suffocate Atletico with possession around the edge of the area rather than trying to play constructive passes.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it was poor quality there from Hincapié, but again, I know Arsenal have maybe set up to kind of, as you said there, smother Atletico, keep hold of possession, but Atletico are there for the taking. There's no real press from Atletico when Arsenal have got the ball. They're so nervous about what's going on behind them in terms of going into Gyökeres, to Madueke, to Martinelli, that they're almost just kind of shuffling across defensively without really going and pressing Arsenal, and Arsenal need to sense that.
Pubil to Koke, who was in the Atletico side that got to the final back in 2016 when they lost to Real Madrid. It was the last time they got through to the final, and also runners-up in this competition in 2014, and then back in the 1970s as well. They've won 3 and lost 3 of their previous semi-finals in this Champions League and European Cup. Here's Alvarez bringing it forward here onto his right foot. He got the shot in. It was blocked almost at source by Gabriel, and then Griezmann takes over. Alvarez, trying to win the ball back, is caught in Hincapié. That's the danger of Alvarez, when he drops into those little pockets outside the penalty area and allows the ball to run across his body onto his right foot. A lot of his goals come that way. Now, they haven't got the ball into wide positions, particularly for Simeone, as Alvarez will make a run, full pound into the penalty area, slam the brakes on. Defenders continue the run. He's got 5 yards of space. And that's his trademark move. They haven't been able to play it into his feet in that kind of area so far, to Arsenal's credit.
No, and that's where, as you said there, he was always trying to create that half a yard, letting it run across his body, shifting it from right to left or left to right. It's been really intelligent. He hasn't really played up against Gabriel or Saliba. He's just dropped into little pockets, hoped that one of his teammates can win the ball back and give him the ball, and then he's on the front foot. But again, Arsenal, they need to start moving this ball quicker, and there needs to be more movement. I think when they string 1 or 2 passes together and someone runs in behind, then they create space for somebody else who drops into a little pocket of space, and then they've got the overloads. But at the minute, it's so predictable for Atletico. They're getting back into shape, but they're not having to really move anywhere. They go into their position, they move 5 yards, they drop back into shape, and there's no real attempt from Arsenal to go beyond that.
Zubimendi, Saliba, Madueke making a run down the right. Cardoso clears straight to Zubimendi. Arsenal turning over possession near the edge of the penalty area, getting it out towards Ben White. Good strong challenge comes in on him. It's a throw that'll be taken over on the Arsenal right down by the corner flag. 0-0.
If I'm Victor Gyökeres at half time, I'm screaming at 1 or 2 of my teammates, get the ball in the box. That was a classic example again. Zubimendi's got to the byline, just hang one up to the back post, give me something to attack. But when they turn it down, it makes it more difficult for Victor Gyökeres to time his movement, to get himself into position to get an attempt on goal. They've got to start putting the ball in the box earlier for him.
Our breakfast returning tomorrow. Jeff Stanning and Gabby Agbonlahor with their reflections on everything that has happened tonight. Looking ahead to Gabby's old club Villa at Forest tomorrow night live on Talk Sport as well. The boys back at 6 o'clock. And remember, you can watch the show on your smart TV tomorrow morning, should I say, on the TalkSport YouTube channel. No excuse to miss breakfast tomorrow morning from 6 a.m. So I'm trying to bring the ball forward with Martinelli. Just run out of play for a throw that will be taken by Marcus Llorente on the Atletico right. 0-0.
Again, a mix-up in communication there between Hincapié and Martinelli. Martinelli drops off into a pocket of space, and Hincapié goes a little bit longer. And I don't blame Hincapié for that. Mix it up a little bit. Don't always come to feet all the time. Sometimes you've got to spin it in behind, make them face their own goal.
A possession 50-50. Arsenal still waiting for a first attempt on target. Atletico have only had one. Alvarez denied by the diving Raya, but Lookman will get it forward here. And Koke's cross is blocked, and it goes out of play off Hincapié for a throw. I'm going to stick my neck out. It's not going to be 5-4 like last night was. I'm just sensing that, on the basis that so far we've had one shot on target through the opening 38 minutes. Plenty of ways to win a football match. We've been talking about it for weeks. If Arsenal are going to have success in the Champions League, it will be building on their outstanding defensive record rather than blitzing sides. It doesn't matter how they do it. So far they've stood firm here. Llorente Getting it back for Koke, though, on the edge of the Arsenal penalty area. Into the blonde-haired Griezmann. Just waited half a second too long, and Ødegaard picked his pocket. And then Arsenal with Zubamendi have really neatly played their way out of trouble on the edge of their own box. Ødegaard finding Gyökeres. Back from him to Martinelli. Koke sprinting to get back in position. And Atletico got all of the red and white striped shirts back behind the ball now. Rice getting it out to the Arsenal right. And then getting a return ball immediately from Ben White. Madueke in a slightly more central area as he picks up possession. Still, every Atletico player's got offside. Goes out towards Martinelli. Martinelli cutting in onto his right foot. Fired one towards goal. It hit Llorente. Cannons high up in the air. Griezmann chases after it. Gabriel's there first. Zubamendi with a forward pass that took two out of the picture. And Diego Simeone was absolutely livid with that. Arsenal able to bring it forward again. Back towards Gabriel now. Martinelli. A little bit more fluidity of movement from the Arsenal wingers who are receiving the ball at times in more central areas. It was Martinelli that time. Madueke waiting over on the right. Links up the play and then it very quickly goes via White and Saliba back for Rice. Here's William Saliba again in his bright yellow boots. Night completely fallen here in the Spanish capital. The blues of the sky overtaken by almost threatening black now as Madueke tries to make his way forward. And Alamola Lookman takes it down towards his own corner flag and is able to clear. Cardoso has done really well, has controlled that on his thigh, gets it out to Ruggieri. Oh, crossfield ball from him, right across the edge of his own penalty area. He hit it quickly enough that Martinelli couldn't control it comfortably, although he did get a touch on it to divert it back into the midfield and get Arsenal on the front foot again.
That's because they've got no outlet, Jim. That's why you get those situations there where they're trying to clear it or they're trying passes that are not on. Because they've got no outlet and no one who can hold the ball up, they're almost hitting hopeful passes, and you get that type of situation where it hits a crossfield and it nearly gets intercepted.
Madueke trying to chest it down inside the penalty area. Cardoso gets it away. Griezmann playing it out to the right. They are dangerous on the counter-attack, and here's Simeone trying to prove that. He'll bring it forward now. Arsenal have got their shape back behind the ball. Gabriel heads it away. Alvarez picks it up. Rice has done brilliantly. He's come back in, flicked it away from Alvarez as he tried to take a touch to get a shot in, and Raya pounces on the loose ball. Arsenal get it out from the back. There's a low five between Raya and Rice. That was brilliant defensive work from Declan Rice. Now Gyökeres at the other end, trying to take on Llorente, couldn't beat him. And Atletico get it back for Oblak.
Yeah, good defending there, because Julian Alvarez certainly had an opportunity on the edge of the box to pull the trigger, and he didn't do that. Gabriel and Declan Rice coming back from nowhere to kind of stop that attack. But at the minute, both teams are really unsure in the final thirds as to what to do. Atletico try and build from the back, they give the ball away. Arsenal get themselves to a position where they win the ball back really, really well. They play through the thirds and the lines, and they get to a point and they have no idea how to break this Atletico defence down.
Zubamendi, Ødegaard, Zubamendi again. Oh, it's a shove inside the area. Penalty to Arsenal. What a moment in a game where next to nothing has happened in either penalty area. Victor Gyökeres making his way forward. They played him in near the penalty spot. He was given a shove. The VAR, Dennis Higler will look at it. Diego Simeone is absolutely adamant there was no foul, but the on-field decision from Danny Macaulay is penalty. Will that decision be ratified?
Well, now it looked to me like it was a penalty, but I'll have to look at a replay, because it looked like to me Victor Gyökeres does really well and gets his body in. A lovely little pass from Zubamendi with the outside of his foot, and at the last minute he gets his body across the defender and it looks like he's shoved in the back, but I'm guessing you can see Simeone down there is going absolutely crazy. I'm not quite sure there's going to be enough to overturn it. They're checking it, of course, VAR, but first glance, Jim, to me it looked like it was a penalty.
Well, it is still being checked. The monitors round the stadium now say check over, and it is a penalty to Arsenal, and Ødegaard has stood with the ball in his hand waiting patiently by the penalty spot for nearly a minute or so. I would imagine that he will hand it on to Victor Gyökeres to take the spot kick, and that process happens now. What a moment this is. They haven't had a shot on target so far, Arsenal, but can they take the lead at the Metropolitano? Victor Gyökeres with arguably His biggest single kick of the ball in an Arsenal shirt to date. He's made his way back to the edge of the penalty area. Addresses it, right foot in. Scores! Blasted into the bottom left-hand corner. And the travelling Arsenal fans away to our left-hand side of the upper tier go absolutely crazy. Victor Gyökeres with the goal. Atletico Madrid 0, Arsenal 1 in the final minute of the first half of the first leg of the Champions League semi-final. The platform built for their first appearance in the final for 20 years.
Absolutely fantastic penalty from Victor Gyökeres, ice in his veins. He puts the ball down, he's calm, he's composed, and when he hits this to the goalkeeper's right in the bottom corner, he gives it some welly. He absolutely smashes it, and Oblak, to be fair to him, goes the right way, but when you hit it with such power and such pace, it's going to take a world-class save for him to keep it out, and he doesn't manage to do that. There's too much power on it, it's too accurate. It's a fantastic penalty from Victor Gyökeres, and he deserved that by getting his body in the right position. Lovely pass from Zubamendi. It goes across his body. When you're a defender and you let a striker get in that position, you run the risk. All they could do was bump him in the back. He goes down and he caps it off with a fantastic penalty for Victor Gyökeres.
5th Champions League goal of the season. 3 of them have come against Atletico Madrid. We're into 2 minutes of added time at the end of the first half. Arsenal leading by a goal to 0. Here's Ademola Lookman, square to his right-hand side near the edge of the penalty area. Koke, Ruggieri's ball in, off the head of Lookman. It was very sharp, high tariff chance at the near post, 12 yards out, and goes out of play for a goal kick. Well, Bendy, we talked about the fact that if this was all square, Atletico would have to gamble because their away form is poor. Domestically, they've got the 3rd best home record in La Liga. Away from home, it's only the 7th best. They've lost more games than they've won away from home. Now they're trailing. They're going to have to come out all guns blazing at the start of the second half.
Yeah, one if Diego Simeone will look at changes potentially. I mean, Sorloth probably the one. A little bit more presence up top as well, because I think Arsenal almost saying to Atletico Madrid, go on, pass the ball wide. We don't mind you going out there, because every single time they've crossed the ball into the box, Jim, it's been Gabriel getting his head on it, Zubamendi dropping and getting his head on it. And I don't believe Atletico themselves believe they can score that way. But when you've got no target and you get into those areas, you're almost forced to put the ball in there as well. So I think second half he might make changes, Simeone.
Well, they've given Griezmann something to chase here. And Saliba, although he ended up stumbling, did really well to shepherd the long route one ball forward towards David Raya. And Raya will now clear right-footed from the edge of his own penalty area, just blasting it upfield. About 30 seconds to go in the stoppage time at the end of the first half. Arsenal looking for a second here with Martinelli poking it forward. He got a good run from Nkapie to his left, but he didn't spot him. And it goes through towards Jan Oblak. One in the quarterfinals, Atletico won the first leg away at Barcelona, lost the second leg here, but still went through. So it's by no means done and dusted if Arsenal were to win here tonight, but they get to half-time with their noses in front, and Victor Gyökeres has won and then converted the penalty right at the end of the first half. Still few recriminations going on amongst the Atletico players, and then words from Koke, the captain, towards the Dutch referee as well. Arsenal have defended resolutely. They've only allowed one shot on their goal so far on target. They've only had one at the other end, but they scored from the penalty spot and lead at half-time in the first leg by a goal to 0.
Set piece FC 1-0 up at half-time, and they don't mind if it's a set piece. They don't mind if that's the only shot on target. They lead. We've just had another look at the penalty incident, Darren Ben. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's definitely a push on Victor Gyökeres there. I think they work it really, really well. And yes, he might go down slightly easier than he needed to, but I think when you're in that position and you put your hands on the striker's back, he's got every right to go down in that situation. So I think a defender in that situation, just don't touch him, leave him, back your goalkeeper to potentially make the save. But the moment you put your hands on his back and he goes down, the ref was always going to give a penalty.
Diego Simeone was making all sorts of body shapes on the touchline. He obviously wasn't happy at all, but he seemed to be indicating that Gyökeres had bought it, that he backed into his man and then fallen over cheaply. He's got a point, but the other end, Atletico would be screaming for a pen, wouldn't they?
Oh, he'd be going absolutely ballistic. If that had been the other end, it'd been Alvarez or Griezmann, he'd have been sprinting up and down that touchline like crazy. But as I said, from a defender's perspective, back your goalkeeper in that situation. I know he's 8-9 yards out, but I think, do you know what? I won't put my hands on him. Let me back my goalkeeper to make the save. And the moment you almost put your hands on his back, you're almost giving the striker an out, and he does that, and Victor Gyökeres obviously scored the pen.
This is going very well for Arsenal, isn't it? And there will be purists, there will be sports bar presenters who won't be happy with it at all. But in terms of an away performance in a knockout two-leg tie, this is exactly what you need to do if you're Arsenal Football Club.
Do you know what they do, Aid? But there needs to be more quality in the final third for sure, because as that first half went on, I think you could sense Atletico had run out of ideas. They were getting the ball wide, they were crossing it in, knowing that no one really was going to get their head on it because of the size of Gabriel and Saliba. And I think if you're an Arsenal player in that final third, Madueke, Martinelli, get some shots in, try and create something for Victor Gyökeres. Do you know what I mean? Make the defenders work. I think at times they've let them off the hook. They've gone at them 1v1, then they've turned back, and it's ended up at David Raya. From Arsenal's perspective going forward, you have to sense it that Atletico are there for the taking.
One thing I would say positively about Arsenal going forward, Madueke, certainly first half of the first half, I mean, he was doing things that we've not seen him do for a while, getting to the byline, beating his man, running his man. He was crabbing across and having a shot. Really enjoyed that performance from him.
Yeah, the first 15 minutes I thought he was outstanding. As you said, they had that shot that just went past the post. He was curating, he was getting to the back post as well when the ball was on this left-hand side as well. But you need more of that. Relentless. Don't do it for 15 minutes, 20, 30, 40 minutes. That first half, start going at the fullback, because after a while, Adelona Lookman, he was playing at fullback because he was having to do so much defensive work to help out the fullback. That's what you need to do. But the moment you come away from that, you're just giving them that little bit more confidence.
What is Atletico Madrid's plan here? Because you've not been impressed with it in commentary. They've looked very lightweight. There was a couple of mini openings, but they're all from distance, really, from Julian Alvarez. They don't look like a Champions League winning side at all, do they?
No, they don't, and that's where I think maybe Sorloth's going to have to come on, because I think Arsenal have sensed now that Atletico can't really bypass the press, and when they do, they hit it a little bit longer. Gabriel and Saliba and Zubamendi just pick up the pieces, and then it's attack again. I think somehow they're going to have to change it, and as I said, Sorloth, a little bit more of a presence, can hold the ball up, can run in behind as well. They just need somebody to hit, because at the minute, it's coming back a little bit too frequent.
It's been a very interesting first half, no question about it. And Atletico Madrid seemed to run out of ideas fairly early on. The fans made all the noise, but the players didn't do their job on the pitch. Arsenal, though, as an away performance goes in the first leg, this is what they need. It is Atletico Madrid 0, Arsenal 1. You're listening to the Champions League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Kickoff on TalkSport with Ladbrokes. 18+ gambleaware.org.
You know, Kayak isn't just another flight comparison app. When you download the Kayak app, you download Flight Enlightenment. With Kayak, you see things others can't, like the latest great deals from both airlines and booking sites. You can filter your searches and set up price alerts so you... Not now.
Oh, sorry.
So you're notified when there's a price drop on the flights you want. See more, do more, save more with Kayak. You can do the gong now. Download the Kayak app today and go see for yourself.
Get that Euro Millions feeling this Friday. 10 UK winners are guaranteed to be millionaires. That's 10 more reasons to dance. 10 more robots, 10 more limbos, 10 more salsas. 10 UK winners are guaranteed to be millionaires this Friday. Euro Millions from the National Lottery. It could be you. Rules apply. 18+.
In a world of noise and uncertainty, IG is the investment platform that backs you. Take our flexible stocks ISA, which gives you the freedom to withdraw funds anytime and replace them in the same tax year, all without losing your £20,000 tax-free allowance. And if that's not enough, pay no commission on your stocks, shares and ETFs when you invest with IG. IG. Trade, invest, progress. Your capital's at risk. Other fees may apply. Tax treatment depends on individual circumstances and is subject to change.
Fire up the barbie! With Aldi's barbecue bundle, you can rustle up burgers to feed 4. Get British beef quarter pounders, white rolls, baby leaf salad, cheese slices and tomato ketchup, all for under a super $6.50. That's flipping amazing value from Aldi. Which cheapest supermarket 2025?
Buzzing for the game this week. I want to hear what my mates are saying. I want to tell them they're delusional. I want to tell them who'll score first. I want to call the half-time score and the full-time score. And when our kid pipes up and says, want to bet? I'll stop. think about it. Check my limits. Check how much I've played. And maybe I'll think, nah, not today, mate. Sometimes the best bet is the one you don't make. Gamble responsibly. BetFred. 18+, gambleaware.org.
As the top teams in European football clash in the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League, Hawksbee and Baker will bring you the match review you're hungry for. Tomorrow afternoon from 1, listen to Talk Sport as a panel of pumped-up pundits take a look back at which teams are looking tasty and which players are off their game. Champions League semi-final review. Tomorrow afternoon from 1 on Talk Sport with Snickers. You're off your game when you're hungry. Grab a Snickers.
Champions League live on TalkSport with Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Here for it. Book now at enterprise.co.uk.
Established and excellent evening star of football. Kickoff live on TalkSport.
Just been having a scan here in the Metropolitano, the away section, which is high in the upper tier to our left here from our commentary point, and there's children in there. How are they going to get to school first thing tomorrow morning? It's unbelievable. This is a proper education for them, never mind your classrooms. Let's get the halftime odds with Ladbrokes.
Odds update on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com. 18+, gambleaware.org.
It's Atletico Madrid 0, Arsenal 1 at half-time. Arsenal are 2-1 on to win this. The draw is 5-2. Atletico to win tonight, out to 7-1. That's the latest odds with Ladbrokes. 18+, be gambleaware.org.
Odds update on Talk Sport with Ladbrokes. Bet on this season's Champions League action live tonight. Visit ladbrokes.com. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Right, let me tell you what is happening on Saturday, because it's the climax to the regular EFL season, and 12:30 is when all of the championship games kick off. Ipswich against QPR will be live and exclusive on TalkSport. Win that, and Ipswich will be up with Coventry, who are already promoted as champions. On TalkSport 2, it's Wrexham, who are going for that final playoff place, taking on Middlesbrough, who still have a chance of automatic if Ipswich slip up. And I'll take you round the grounds with all the goals as they go in the Premier League and the final day of the regular League One and League Two season. There are playoff places to be sorted out. There's one automatic place to be sorted in League Two. I'll be at Crewe against Cambridge for that one. Cambridge looking to seal that third automatic spot. And on TalkSport 2, a League One commentary. Exeter City against Bradford. Bradford with a little bit of work to do to secure a playoff place. Exeter could be relegated. They need to win or they're going to be down. I am delighted to report that Peterborough United are no longer involved in the relegation battle. They are safe after the very best 0-0 draw in our history last night at home to Mansfield. How are you feeling about Ipswich at the weekend, Darren Ben?
I'd have been a bit more comfortable if they'd beat Southampton in the week, but no, listen, if you're giving them Ipswich a scenario, QPR at home, you'd expect Ipswich to win that as well. So all they've got to do is win one more game and they're back in the promised land. I've
got to say, I was at Southampton last night for that game, and it just showed what a squad Ipswich have got, that they could bring on Jack Clark. They had so much quality on the bench, and they should be with that squad going up automatically. And I think there'll be a few people thinking, how the hell has it gone to the last day?
Do you know what, you're right, and there's been so many times this season where I expected Ipswich to push Coventry in maybe a little bit closer, and have faltered a little bit. But as you said there, when you could take off Philogene and bring on Jack Clark, I mean, Jack Clark for me this season has scored so many important goals. This season is almost a coming of age party. When they first signed him, didn't really go to plan in the Premier League, weren't quite up to it, but this season has been absolutely outstanding.
By the way, he could have sealed promotion yesterday, but for a world-class...
Oh my, wow.
What a save that was from the Southampton keeper. It was truly stunning. I mean, if you are a Premier League snob, seriously, get yourself involved in the EFL and the Championship, because some of the football down there, the drama of it for a start is incredible, but there is some high quality down there as well, and we get it covered on TalkSport. Just very quickly, could Ipswich be a little bit nervous going into it, bearing in mind they nearly sealed it last night but didn't? Might they be a little bit nervous?
Yeah, potentially. You might think so, because it's one game and then you're back, as I said, back in the big time. So, but I expect Kieran McKenna to get the boys set up. They'll be calm. I think he'll get the team selection right as well. I'd like to see Jack Clark play from the start. but I just think they'll have too much quality for QPR. Yes, there'll be a few nerves, but when Paul Monroe's singing, it's bubbly, it's loud. I expect Ipswich to get the job done, what I hope anyway.
Well, we'll have it covered from 11 a.m. is when it all kicks off, our coverage on TalkSport on Saturday lunchtime, and commentaries in the Championship and on TalkSport 2 in League One as well, and round the grounds as ever, your standard classic TalkSport Saturday afternoon as we reach the end of the regular EFL season. Playoffs to come, of course, and we'll have them all on TalkSport. Tomorrow night, Forest Villa is live on TalkSport, Europa League semi-final first leg. Jim's on commentary for that, and he's alongside a Forest legend Stuart Pearson and Villa legend Andy Townsend. Join Natalie Sawyer from 7 at the City Ground. Let's go to the Emirates. Here's Ian Abrahams.
Talking of 7, Arsenal 7, Leicester 0 in the WSL. 2 goals apiece for Holberg and Blackstenius, 1 for Marnham, Caldente and Williamson. Arsenal are now 8 points behind Manchester City with 2 games in hand. They can still win the title. It's not in their hands though. Their goal difference done the world of good tonight. Leicester will finish bottom. Arsenal 7, Leicester 0.
Yeah, so basically if City draw one of their last 2 games, that goal difference could come into play. Arsenal were 13 goals behind City on goal difference before tonight. Obviously that's down to 6, so let's see what happens. Could Arsenal, I mean, they've barely been in the top 3 all season, mainly because of games in hand, but that could be a very, very interesting dramatic climax to the WSL season. Arsenal's win, of course, in the Champions League semi-final. They won the first leg against Lyon 2-1, second leg in France to come, and this first leg of this Champions League semi-final in the men's game is 1-0 to the Arsenal. And you talked about changes. You weren't entirely comfortable, Darren Bent, with the Arsenal performance. Would you make any changes for this second half?
But you know what, I'd maybe give it 10 minutes, because they ended the half quite well. They are 1-0 up, so you've got to give them the benefit of the doubt. But certainly I'd start to make changes, because I don't think Atletico will be that bad again second half. Although they weren't really, really bad, they just offered really nothing going forward, so I expect them to make changes. But as the second half progresses and Atletico maybe throw a little bit more caution to the wind, I'd like to see the likes of Eze get on the ball, Saka for sure, just in attacking areas, because I think there's still more to come from this Arsenal squad, certainly in the final third.
And let's just take a moment to assess Mikel Arteta's job here. He's juggling a Premier League title challenge that they are actually expected to win. They've been expected to win it for a long time. I think that's still the case. Some people really fancy City, but because Arsenal have been in pole position for so long, it's expected that he will see that job through. And he's trying to win a Champions League as well, and he's got to be fit, so he's having to juggle the game time as well. This is a difficult managerial job for him.
And that's why, and I kept saying, and Jim made a really good point in terms of Atletico Madrid and their away form. The game is there to be won, the tie's there to be won tonight, Atletico, if you can go and get another goal earlier in the second half and then you get a third, you can almost then start to make changes. And even the second leg, yes, you still want to go strong, but maybe you can give players 60 minutes instead of 90 minutes. You can start to maybe ease off a little bit. And I think, again, the Arsenal players, and Arteta's probably telling them that in the dressing room, but I think generally if Arsenal really go for it and up it maybe 10%, the tie could be over this evening.
Listen, before the game we talked about Gyökeres. We weren't necessarily kind to him, but wow, he smashed that penalty in, didn't he?
Absolutely blasted. And when a goalkeeper goes the right way, you go, oh, how close was that? But there was so much pace and accuracy, and I said it in commentary, when you go that way to the goalkeeper's right, it's incredibly hard to save because it's going away from the goalkeeper. Great penalty.
Yeah, I mean, listen, he's got his critics, Gyökeres. There's things that he's very good at, and penalties he's not bad at as well. There was no saving that one. He absolutely lashed it in. The players on their way out for the second half here in the Metropolitano. Arsenal 1-0 up. Elsewhere in the Women's Super League, Arsenal 7, Leicester 0. National League Promotion Playoff, Bournemouth 0. Robbie Savage's Forest Green 0. National League North, Macclesfield 0. Chester 1 into the second half there. Dorking 2, Maidenhead 0 in National League South Promotion Playoff, as the Arsenal players get themselves into a huddle. That's the job they've got to do. See this one through. 1-0, take a lead, back to the Emirates, and finish it off there next Tuesday night. We'll be there on TalkSport. So here we go, live from the Metropolitano on TalkSport. It's Atletico Madrid 0, Arsenal 1. Here's former England striker Darren Bent, alongside your commentator on TalkSport, Jim Proudfoot.
And Atletico are making a change at half-time. They're taking off winger Simeone and they're bringing on centre-half Lenormand. So I think he will play at right back, and Llorente will go out and play on the right wing. But they do have the option of potentially playing with 3 centre-halves. That's not the Simeone way. We are back underway for the second half. Arsenal getting from left to right and immediately getting the